Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to ATI Pro Media. We are powered by advanced trading. Somewhat of a quiet day, but kind of packed with news on the sides. We're getting little pieces here, little pieces there. Problems up in Canada with the rail information. A lot of data this week coming out of Pro Farmer Crop Tour. Good if you like bushels, bad if you are shocked that the crop's out there. Now, they'll go into some areas that might not be so great today. Upper Iowa, lower Minnesota, we know those are a problem. Once they're a problem in the spring, they'll be a problem all year. You can't have 14, 20 inches of rain in a month and think it fixed itself here. But with that, we're going to go over the markets, real quick rundown. Then we're going to break it into the headlines, and then we'll get you out of here. Everyone, let's go to LaSalle Street. Corn down a quarter. No beans doing better, up 4. They have been coming around a little bit. Meal up 20. Oil up 38. Oil couldn't go much lower. It would almost be free at this point. Wheat, very disappointing wheat here. Border Trade wheat down 9. Casey wheat down 7. Hard Red Spring down 4. Trouble in the cattle sector. Cattle, cattle down 40. Feeder cattle down 20. Hogs up 100. Looking at the metals now, going to Wall Street. Wall Street, gold down 14. Silver down 20. 2s, 5s, 10s, 30s, all up, which means rates are going down. Looking like a full point rate cut this year. Crude oil up $40, $73. Natural gas down 21, 21.77. Stock market doing stock market things. Dow, S&P, NASDAQ all up. Bitcoin up. Copper up. Back to the show. Bring them in. Connor B. Might be a quick one, might not. We have Pro Farmer Crop Tour on the news. We have cattle. Tough day for the cattle guy. Brady did a great job just lightly talking about cattle yesterday when they were down 100. They had since went down a lot more than that. Some real problems out there.
I just got an email from the one and only Brady Huck. Cattle on Feed Report Friday. I'm sure he'll be breaking down those numbers for us.
That would be wonderful. My friend Chris Swift, who I've gotten to know in Nashville, and Chris Swift shares his information that he charges people with us. He put out a video yesterday. It was so good. I don't understand half the stuff he's talking about. But when I see good content, I share it with clients, whether it came from advanced trading or someone else. The world, we're a good firm, but there's also people who are experts at what they do. And what Chris does is he mostly just works with feeder people, doesn't sell LRP. He just works with futures with feeder people. We're talking when the market's exploding, they're making big margin calls. And when the market breaks, they're bringing in a lot of money. But what he did was he broke it down and showed how the rate cuts are affecting things, how interest rates are. He has a much bigger picture than, hey, we're down 100. I don't know what's going on, but cattle are down. Like it's such a view that if you're a hedger, we're hedgers, and he asks his clients to be hedgers. So as you know, in futures, it's fun till it isn't, right?
Absolutely. So with that, right, we've got Pro Farmer Tour. It just keeps chugging along. They told us your home state of Indiana, right? That's the headline for me. We got some big bushels coming out, right? I think they were what, Tommy, 3-5% above last year, something like that. And then Nebraska was good too. Yeah, pull up.
Okay, let's go through it slowly. We did a little premium late last night. I was going to have someone live from the tour. She's going to come on today, I believe, for premium content. Just a friend from Canada. This Indiana corn data. You want to read it? Can you see it, Connor?
Yeah. So they come in at 187, right? Last year they were 180, almost a 4, right? 3.64% jump from last year. Big jump. I'm not really surprised, right? To me, I can't wait till we get to Illinois and Iowa and see where those are. So potential for big yields, right? I think with the Pro Farmer, I know you talk about this, Tommy, but I think it's important not to compare the Pro Farmer yield to what the USDA says. It's important to compare Pro Farmer to Pro Farmer last year, right? That's where we're going to get the good correlations, I think. And so, real good yield potential for Indiana. We'll see what the USDA says come January. Let's go to Nebraska.
Let's do it.
Nebraska, same story, potential for really good yields, up right around 3.64%. And so, we'll see real potential for good yields. 173. If I was prepared, Tommy, I'd have what the USDA has for Indiana, Nebraska yields.
It's okay. But the one thing we do need to talk about is that Pro Farmer is really, 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 really consistent, that they're consistently under the USDA. And if they go above the USDA or at the USDA, or even 2 bushels below the USDA, that would coincide, or the doctors would concur, that the USDA is not that far off. And so when you talk about Nebraska, they just do the eastern part, not the western. The western's very irrigated. They're very transparent on how they do things. I've seen scouts out this morning. I was up very early, and first cup of coffee, scouts were already out in the field. So I think they take over 4,000 samples, and heck, I think they get a better idea than most people out there, right? Want to talk soybeans a little bit?
Yeah. Soybeans, right? Again, we're just looking at pot, right? With soybeans, there's still a lot of factors that can affect the soybean yield, right? We all know that, but so we're getting pot count, right? It's almost when we're looking at the soybean data, it's the potential for how good of a soybean yield we could have. And right now, what are they telling us? We've got potential for some good soybeans in Nebraska. Can you go up to Indiana again, Tommy? We
Mhm.
skipped Indiana
Going back
soybeans.
to soybeans, yeah.
Yeah.
Indiana soybean data, sir.
Yeah, so same thing, right? A bigger jump, 7.5% above last year. We have got potential for some really good soybean yields. That's what Pro Farmer's telling me.
Mhm. All right. Well, I respect those guys. I get so jealous I'm not out there right now, but I done it, and after I've done it, I'm like, man, that's if you go have a good week on Pro Farmer, you have a bad week at the office and for your clients. You know what I mean?
Sure.
How can you work with all these people and not be here, right? So it's these markets are moving, beans are moving. We were talking before you got on the show about I'm probably going to buy Starlink from Elon Musk, and I always want to be connected to the internet. We have new phone numbers that we use on our cell phones, where it's a cell phone on a cell phone that's all recorded in text. And uh, I was telling you before the show, hey, we have a QR code on your phones, and I'm like, what? Where do you get it? And there's just no one gives you. It's kind of like an Apple iPhone. There is no manual for it. You just got to play with it and figure it out. But
Yeah.
uh,
Sure.
we appreciate it. So we have two cell phones personally. I have my own personal advanced trading recorded line, and then ATI Pro Media has its own line. So if you see us pop something like this up, this is for the ATI Pro Media clients, friends, subscribers, and then we have our own QR code. So if you take a picture of that, those are for the folks who pay and subscribe to ATI Pro Media, $30 a month, $1 a day, putting out premium content there. You have your own QR code. You'll see a lot of content coming from Connor and Brady. Brady does a special about cattle, just wants to send it to his own people. He's going to say, hey, this is how you get a hold of me. We're getting to a level where folks really want they want their hands held. And maybe you could talk about that a little bit, because you're in a great situation. You're a broker in central Illinois with big bushels. I know the price stinks, but the bushels are there. And if you're in the bushel business, that's both good for you and your clients. You want to talk about that a little bit? You have 10 seconds. Just kidding.
Sure. And I think where you're going with that, Tommy, is right. Just let's look at the potential, right? If 24 marketing, maybe the 23
That was great,
marketing.
Connor. We'll be right back. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, buddy. Let it rip.
So basically just looking right, I think a lot of people are revisiting marketing plans, right? If we weren't happy with how we did for 23 and 24, well, let's get the playbook ready for this 24 crop, right? Post into harvest, post harvest, let's do the right things. And then more importantly, Tommy, you say it really well. When we're talking about 24 marketing, the car wreck, the train wreck already happened, right? It's in triage. We still need to do the right things, but 25 is a chance to really get a handle on things. And so I think that's the key. That's the conversations I want to be having this next 30 days, next 60 days. Back to
Yeah.
you, Tommy. Was that
No,
10 seconds?
no, you stay right there. Don't come back to me, guys. Real quick, I'll talk from the back. I've heard some things. I watch TV, I watch other stuff, and I just kind of bring things in. But if you're getting bearish now, you've missed the big bear move. So if we have more downside, sure. Do we have 50 cents of downside in corn? Yeah, it's possible.
Mhm.
Do we have another dollar downside in beans? It's possible. But we have an equal, if not greater amount of upside with whatever world events, demand, China coming in, Mexico coming in. You have to understand, take off your farmer hat, put on your end user hat. America produced grain way cheaper than anyone in the world can produce it. And now people are coming in to buy it. So if you're out there and you're like, I'm really bearish corn, where were you a dollar ago? Why were you not bearish at 5, but at 4, you're bearish? And if you understand the psychology of markets, people tend to get the most bearish at the bottom. The least educated people buy into it last. I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. Back to you, Connor B.
Yeah, well said, Tommy. He's off the screen. It's your conscience speaking. If you can hear him, that's Tommy Grisafi telling you. And so that's a great segue talking about U.S. corn. We've got some more flash sales. Pop them up, Joe. 132,000 metric tons delivery to China for 24-25. 121,000 delivery to unknown destinations, again for 24-25. Good to see, right? Tomorrow we'll get some export data. I think it'd be a good time, Tommy, to break that down and look at where the U.S. is for exports, how far we need to go, and really talk about that, right? Well, that's what we want to see. We want to see these low prices start generating some demand and start seeing some buying, right? We need that
Yeah.
follow through.
And I gotta say, I have no
He's
clue what's
back.
going on in wheat today, but I'm upset wheat's down 8, and that's truly said like
Yeah.
someone who's long wheat, right? Canadian rail strike is not bullish or bearish? Canadian rail strike, let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah. Canadian, we're looking for potential strike. Canadian railroads, right? Is that going to threaten U.S. supply chains? To me, Tommy, in the ag sector, this is really bad timing. Right before harvest, right? If we see that stop down, I know if you're thinking if you're in the Midwest, even if you're south of you and Valparaiso or me, an Assumption, right? Maybe it doesn't really affect the Canadian rail shortage. But here's the thing: we ship ethanol to Canada. We ship a lot of products back and forth. Any type of slowdown in North America, right? It's not going to be, it's not bullish supply, and any type of slowdown when we're going to harvest what the USDA is telling us is a record crop by 6 bushel, right? That's not good for this harvest, right? We want to get that worked out for so we can see grain moving.
Yeah, take it all the way back to when we took a few weeks off just to calm things down. Anytime you stop the movement of commerce, it has effects. And I am no expert on rail strikes, but I could tell that we're getting right into the gut slot of harvest. It doesn't feel like it, but in a few weeks, I'm going to go up to North Dakota to Big Iron, and the leaves will be falling off. You're going to see the soybeans turn. And you can't imagine harvest is coming because everything's all green. Then all of a sudden, you see this nice little yellowish, orangish tint in these plants. Just say, heck with it. I don't need leaves. And you see this big, beautiful soybean plant. You're like, oh my God, it's time for harvest. They're about done with the barley in North Dakota. They're about finishing up strong on the wheat. They started lifting sugar beets. All signs my clients in Texas are done with harvest. They're starting up north. They're down south. Big harvest coming out of Canada, canola, barley, wheat, all the things they're so good at growing. They do not need this right now. And that's all I can say about that. I'd
I,
like some input from our commercial guys because they know so much more about this than we do.
Yeah. Speaking of North Dakota, right? I woke up this morning, Tommy. It was in the low 50s, right? My wife puts a sweatshirt on. The kids were complaining they were chilly going to the babysitter today. What was the temperature in North Dakota? Could you look that up, Joe? What was the
Yeah.
lows for the night? Did it get down in the 40s? Just out of
Yeah.
curiosity.
Speaking of that, I did see a friend of mine on Twitter, and he had a map. He said, "Why is nobody not talking about this?" They had lows in the 40s on the East Coast in eastern states today. So North Dakota might not be as cold as you think. Take it from Indiana east. I don't know if it was Momar or someone else. Some of these nut jobs I follow on Twitter. Everyone's got a nickname. No one wants to put their real name, but they put out good content, right? And I was like, "Oh, that is amazing."
Not as low
63.
as I
Yeah.
thought. Okay.
Yeah, Joe, go out to Pennsylvania. Ask what the low was in, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania today. I bet you it was in the 50s or 40s. And so you talk, it's August 21st, and we're hitting lows in the 40s, 50s. Every morning I wake up,
Strange.
go downstairs, get a cup of coffee, go on the back porch. There's parts of the summer it's too hot and sticky to be out there, and then there's parts of now I was like, man, it's chilly out here. And we usually have a portable fireplace out there. I didn't, the fake fireplace. I didn't put it on, but we could have. It was that cold. So we haven't turned the heat on yet, but it's August and we're having temps like that. I think it's wonderful for soybeans. With this, I talked to a great client this morning. And
There it's
his name's
50s.
Paul. Yeah, see, I'm no weather guy, and I can figure that out because of that map that Momar. Do what's the eastern Ohio? It was cold. Oh, hold on a second. I can't stop this. We just gotta go. I'll go find it. It was such a powerful map that he had because I was like, wow, it's cold on the eastern United States. I'm pulling up Twitter.
Look that up. You know, one thing, Tommy, we didn't have it as a pop up, but we need to look at it. We've talked a lot about safrinha corn crop, right? That corn harvest, it's been 30, sometimes 40% ahead of last year. They've basically got that safrinha corn wrapped up. I saw Dr. Cruz told us they were like 96, 97% harvested. Mato Grosso, all but complete. So that safrinha corn crop is harvested. Now the focus is going to be right in about what, Tommy, 30 days roughly, maybe a little bit more. We're going to start talking about the soybean planting. And so right now, if we're talking weather, we need to talk about South America. It's looking a little bit dry, right? It's too early to wave the flags, right? We saw this concern last year, and it went away very quickly with dryness in South America. But it's one thing, the trade's going to start talking about it, and we're going to pay attention to it too. So, but takeaway is Safrinha corn crop all but harvested. Brazil's really wrapped up that second corn crop. You got it pulled
Yeah.
up, Tommy?
Nah, I'm not too sharp on the clicker today. It was around, but you got to take my word. Look up a weather map. Let's just say we didn't do any damage to soybeans overnight. With when I wake up, I shut my sprinklers off at my house because it has rained so much. I'm like, I don't need to be that knucklehead who gets 3 inches of rain a week and still has his sprinklers on. My lawn looks amazing here, and I think Mother Nature's done a good job making your crops look amazing too here. I do see something here. Uh, I'm just looking at something from Empire Weather, and they show heat and then they show cold. But nonetheless, it's cool out there, and it's August.
Yep.
Questions, comments, drop them. There was, I don't want to talk too much politics, but we should talk both sides. That go with this. This is kind of political. This thing, what happened here with Ford. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. I didn't see. Ford's Model E unit has lost $2.5 billion in the first half of the year, and the company expects to lose between $5 billion and $5.5 billion for the full year. Other headlines that I saw with Ford is that they have a big EV plant going in Tennessee. They're pushing that down the road, right? They've canceled some. Was it the SUV models maybe? And that's the Model E. I can't remember it. Where they're canceling those, and really, to me, they're kicking the can down the road. That the rhetoric behind EV. And then I'm going to loop it back into this biodiesel sustainable aviation fuel. That green, expectations have been tempered, Tommy. And I think we're seeing that with what Ford just announced this morning.
Yeah, Elon Musk beat them all to, the guy's good. He gets in, he gets out, he killed it. He owned PayPal, sold it. Within the same time, he started the rocket company. I'm having a hard time with what that's called. Tesla, and then the
My gosh, what is it?
I'm drawing a blank. Uh,
Thank you.
X,
SpaceX.
SpaceX. Thank you, Rick said X. He started SpaceX. He started Tesla. He was within a few days and hours of going broke, pulled it off. He's now bought Twitter. And with that, let's talk politics lightly.
Okay.
I did watch some of the DNC. I always try to take in both sides and not judge. I think we're all crazy, right? I just like to see what's going on. But there's a gentleman who Joe and I used to work with many years ago when we worked at King's Tree Trading up in Chicago. Great firm. His name was Steve Cortez. And Steve Cortez went from being a trader to like this major political star. And I think he started a group called like Hispanics for Trump. And this is during the first election. Well, anyway, last night, I just saw this morning on Twitter. It's funny because we know the guy. He was outside the DNC. He found a migrant from Venezuela, and he said, I want to introduce you to the people who, brought you to America and show you how welcoming they are. So Steve Cortez tried to bring a migrant from Venezuela into the DNC, and I think they got arrested, both of them or something. He said, that's who. He goes, I guess maybe they didn't want you here. I don't know. I'm confused. We had to go through 3 levels of security, and they said you have to have an ID to get in, which I find ironic in itself. So trying not to talk politics. Speaking of politics, you and I and Brady did a clip on Friday where we talked about that Kamala Harris was going to give a speech about prices. You know that clip's had 35,000 views. Did you know that?
Did it really? Wow.
Yeah, it's a doozy, Clark. And all we said was that, speaking of clips, I didn't text it to y'all, but this one really caught my attention and kind of broke my heart. I guess I don't know if this is true, so I feel weird reading it because I'm going to read this, but I'm going to tell you, I don't know if this is true. When I'm full disclosure, I don't know if this is fake news I'm reading to you or not. When Nixon put in price controls, it cut the value of equities of the cattle market by half in 4 years' time. We need to check on that. Ultimately, it will be the cowboy that bears the burden for price controls. Packers will right-size production, close plants, and back up live cattle. And it's a Time article, Time Food Prices, the Big Beef. It's from April of 73. And that's what it looks like right there. Time Food Prices, the Big Beef, April 73.
Interesting.
That camera's pretty good. It really got on that. I find all types of tidbits. But I can't Google fast enough if it's true. But I do believe that happened. So maybe that's something. Maybe Brady knows or something. I don't know. I
Sure.
mean, none of us are old enough. Only well, half our firm's that old. They remember all that. But anyway, what else
Hey,
do we have?
here's the temp map. I don't know if that's the one you're
Oh,
looking
who
for.
did this? Who did this?
Listen, Brady Huck emailed it to me, and then we pulled it in.
Well, if he's gonna do that much work, just jump
So,
on this show, Brady.
so
Just
there,
guest pirate
Pen-
and come on, jeepers. See,
Pennsylvania in the 40s, Tommy.
I'm
If you look
telling
central
you, baby.
Pennsylvania, 43, right? Luke in North Carolina, my gosh, he's probably in his winter jacket, 56 there. But yeah, so definitely I was completely wrong looking at the Dakotas, right? It's definitely on the east side of the state. Interesting to see
Yeah.
for April 20th or
Oh,
August
absolutely.
20th.
Yeah. Good stuff. We love questions, comments. We see a lot of you are commenting after the show. Keep commenting. We read them. We see them.
Mhm.
We get back to you. Definitely, there's no doubt that a lot of our focus has been pushed towards premium. We're it's there's a lot more motivation to work for the people who are paying you versus the people who are enjoying the show. Which we love that you enjoy the show, and many people are calling asking for help. We welcome that. And with this, grab this comment, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, we're seeing soybean buys from China finally come in after we had the flashing neon sale sign on for a month. How much do you think will actually ship, and how much do you think is China hedging? And so time will tell, right? Our guy Grain Stats, he had a fantastic chart that just really illustrated about how little China has bought for that 2024 marketing year, right? And so here I'm going to draw for you, Tommy. We were up here. 2024 was down here. It was zero until July, and they've got a little bit on the books. So you can make the argument that they've got a lot to buy. Are they going to buy it from us or go to other avenues? Time will tell.
Yeah. Real quick, let's welcome on the stage our next contestant here. I just want to show feeder chart. It's a serious price action that's happening here. These are lean hogs. Let's get the feeders. I'm sure Brady's going to break this down. Guys, I'll be traveling all next week. I think I'm going to have good internet, but if I don't, you'll be seeing a lot more of this guy and the other guy if I don't. This is a feeder chart, and I'm going to go the most active. And we are getting into the danger zone here, and it's serious stuff. I know Brady and Tony Dunker have sold a lot of LRP, and I know people combine futures and options and everything else with LRP. I hope it's helping. Give us a call, a question, a comment. Did we help you get protected and sold? One of the comments I've constantly made is, "Hey, cattle guys, you've seen what's happened to the grain guys. Don't be that person." Then this rhetoric came out Thursday, Friday about the speech in Pennsylvania, none of which I actually think will happen. But sometimes just the talk of it is enough to motivate the financial money to say, maybe we shouldn't be long cattle. Maybe we should own puts on cattle or something. So the big Wall Street money comes in and out, and they're pretty connected with uh, um, politics, right? Don't confuse that the New York, London money is very tied to what's happening in markets. They are very tight. Any comments about that? Questions?
Yeah, I don't think we have any questions in here. Could you extend the chart a little bit, Tommy? I mean, could we just see?
Oh, yes, sir. A weekly, monthly? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, this is most active contract. Well, we're still had a heck of a bull run. That's interesting. You had me do this. I'm glad you did. Perspective. Yeah, perspective. We it's been a heck of a ride. It's been a heck of a ride, but it's been a heck of a ride. But the problem is, from what I know from talking to some Dave Lechtenberg clients while he took a few days off, is that they're going to keep. They've just. I hope I explained this right, and Brady can correct me if I'm not. But there are people buying feeders today who have to sell fats up here, and this is going this way. So, in my opinion, the math is doubly wrong. They paid too much for the product. They bet on the come that they would sell it higher, like a Las Vegas bet, and they won't hedge till we get higher because it's below their break even. And then when we break, it adds double the amount of pain. You don't have to comment on that, but I'm pretty sure I got that one right. Like, I think that makes sense, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
All right,
Definitely.
real quick, something you do know a lot about. Is your father happy with his, like, when he goes out and walks those cornfields, is he happy with what's going on out there?
We've got potential, right? Time will tell. But in our area, even in my immediate area, that Assumption area, we've got potential for some real big yields, Tommy. There, the debate is always going to be, are the whole, you could go out and find some fantastic ears. Question is, are fields with holes in them, are they going to weigh them down? But no, we're potentials for some really big yields, Tommy. That's the takeaway.
Yeah. Questions for all of you after the show, because you're going to see this at the end. Have soybeans made a low? Usually you like to ask us stuff like that. I don't know. I base things off of the price of options. Have no soybeans made a short-term low or the low for a year? We traded down to a level that many in the world decided was affordable, 950. We're trading 980, 30 cents off the low. But this chart, going back to, hey, show us a weekly, just shows how much we've come down. Amazing price action there. Any more questions, comments from the peanut gallery? Otherwise, we will get out of there. Close it up, Connor B. I'm going to look for a button to hit to get out of here. Any other closing thoughts?
No, well, let's keep watching Pro Farmer Tour, right? I'm real excited to see Iowa, Illinois, and see where they come out with those yields. We'll keep breaking that down. Let's see where the price action goes, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, if you're on the Pro Farmer Crop Tour and like to do a premium content, give us a call, text, email us. Somehow get a hold of us. Info@ATI Pro Media, 1-855-737-FARM. Last night's premium content was about day 2 and the Canadian rail strike. We will see you all tomorrow. See you, Connor.
See you.
Thanks for joining us. We're here every day, 9 a.m. Central. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.